panel. DeFi for your grandma. By show of hands, who's been actively teaching his grandma how to use MetaMask? Hey, let's be honest. We talk about adoption, but yet our grandmas are not on MetaMask. I'm being serious. You guys are laughing, right? Like, we talk about adoption and onboarding the next billion users, yet our grandmas are not on MetaMask yet, right? Okay. The next group of projects founders, they have it in their heart and core mission to onboard the next billion users into DeFi. I'm going to introduce them one by one. SimpleFi, Rafael Masip. SimpleFi is a DeFi. You see his glasses. SimpleFi is a DeFi analytics and portfolio management platform. It helps people make their investment decisions by telling him how their DeFi investments are performing. Basically, if someone would ask you, how are you doing, bro? Right? How are you really doing? Right? Right? One day you're up 50%, next day is minus 70, right? You're a millionaire and back at McDonald's in one day, right? So that's SimpleFi. Where's Filippo? That's the other brain behind SimpleFi. Yep. Next project up there is StakeDAO. Julian Bouteloup. Do I still need to introduce this dude? Okay. This tsunami, Julian, effortless ways to grow your crypto. StakeDAO is a non-custodial platform where you can do more with your money. Easily grow, track, and control your assets right from your wallet. We built a one-stop shop for DeFi. Who's a fan, heavy user of StakeDAO? That's 60%. By the end of the night, we'll have it at 75. All right? Next up, who's representing Celo? I heard there was someone from Celo that had to be here, probably stuck in traffic. Polygon? Nemo? Get up here, sir. Nice to see you, mate. Polygon, need any introductions? Polygon Matic? Sure? Same project? Awesome. Still the same project? Beautiful. Last but not least, Angel Protocol, my excuses, Pablo. Get up here, Pablo. Angel Protocol. Angel is a decentralized stablecoin protocol, finally, euro-based. Angel designed a new capital efficient way to manage stablecoins on chain. How long have you guys been working on that? Almost a year now. Oh, wow. It is going to launch the first robust euro stablecoin in November, along with other features like leverage and forex trading, pairs or yield farming with multipliers compared with yearn or compound. Get in now, folks. This is going to be good. Okay. Questions for the panelists. You guys ready? DeFi is growing very quickly, but the chances are many still are not using it on a global scale. So what's that one thing that would help to get grandma on board? Who wants to go first?
Thank you. Yeah, that was the whole premise of the panel. Actually, is like, okay, maybe not grandma, but you know, normal people, the mainstream. So personally, I think that what helped a lot get DeFi on the map is probably yield farming and just the fact that you have much higher yields than in normal banking. Because let's face it, it's terrible. And whenever I want to onboard someone, I just say, okay, you can make 20% on your stable coins. They're like, what? How? tell me. But then I think that for me, the one thing that's still holding people back, I don't know if you guys will agree, is just the sheer amount of data and crap and just scary news and all of this stuff that that holds people back. Because where do you even start when you get into DeFi before you find StakeDAO or something really helpful like that that will auto compound and, you know, manage your strategies for you? Then you're going to have to wade through 1,000 Discord channels and Twitter feeds and things like that. So I think that like there's a need for some kind of DeFi on ramp, not fiat on ramp, but like some way for normal people to know where to start with DeFi. That's my view.
Julian, curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think like it's not for me. If we want to get into like grandma and people that are not necessarily into DeFi, it's not necessarily to yield farming, because there's like, I mean, most of people are not necessarily into finance, and you don't say like, oh, people use TikTok or like Messenger or like Telegram because you have a financial aspect behind of using them. And the reason why they're using it, because they have utility of using it. And so for me, the next phase will be like, for example, Facebook announced today that they will get and support crypto and making a deal with Coinbase. So this is actually how you can get the next billion users. It's not like by providing like super high yield farming and pseudo like 20 pool 21 and pool 22 and all these different things. I really believe like it will be Twitter, TikTok, all those different applications that are being used on a daily basis, and people don't necessarily understand that what's the technology behind it. Like how many people here understand HTTP, like DNS protocols? Like no one give a shit about it, but you have millions of people using it. I mean, I'm talking about like outside. We're talking about grandma. Is grandma like care about DNS? Is it? I mean, yeah. So, I mean, the day you can, and that's what like Twitter. You like Bitcoin or not? But Jack has been working on it like with Square and Stripe, and it's like when you can tip people or when you send messages, people reading your messages, but you don't necessarily understand what's behind it. I want to use a stablecoin euro, but not necessarily understand how to jump between a pool, like do forex and all different things. I just want to be able to send the money to someone and also maybe place the money and generate yield after. But the point of how we can get 1 billion, 2 billion people is just by outside of this industry, and then start integrating the tools that we have without people, the need of them to understand how the thing that we're building works, because they don't care. I mean, if I send a message on Telegram or WhatsApp or I send an email, I don't want to understand the protocol that is being run behind it. That's it.
So I actually agree with both of you. I think yield farming brought the first million users to DeFi. And for the next billion users to DeFi, you need applications that are super easy to use. And one level of abstraction you need to get if you want to get to that level is to eliminate some of the complexities which are necessary to integrate, to speak to DeFi, but that my grandma wouldn't understand. So I'm notably talking about wallets. If you still have to interact with MetaMask, I don't see how you get a billion users. So I saw that MetaMask got a lot of active users in the last few months, but I don't think that everybody is able to understand the concept of public key, of private key. You just need people to be able to log in, just like they do on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitter, and you don't want them to have to sign their messages and to understand this level of complexity. So a lot of abstraction is needed, and I think that next gen, maybe not protocols, but applications will be able to simplify that for everyone interacting with DeFi. Yeah, maybe layer 3 platforms. And also there's the gas cost, but I think you are better placed than me to talk about this.
So not to repeat what the other guy said, which I 100% agree. Like the only thing that I would add on that is not just the stress about the user experience, but to add on top of that, like the fees that people are now paying in order to interact with the different chains, and having like all of this chaos right now of like layers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 55 that we currently experience, like across the whole multi-chain worlds. I do think that these things need to kind of like all of the interactions that we want to see for the billion users need to be like much lower fees in order for people to not even feel what they're experiencing and using the applications that are in our metaverse. So yeah.
There's a lot of agreement amongst the panelists. Anyone in the crowd who disagrees? Come on. Hey, show of hands. There he is. Get the man a microphone. Interesting. He's basically saying that we either go out and educate people, and we did that for a while, right? Like explaining blockchain to people, or there's some mega forces like the Chinese government basically pushing people to crypto. Is that what you're saying? I kind of like that argument. Sir. Go ahead, go ahead.
I didn't want that. All right. So Celo is not here, but we developed the UBI. So the way we are doing this, we are going to the most difficult places where people don't have access to any kind of finance, like in refugee camps, Brazilian favelas, and we are now almost 30,000 people, even people with more than 80 years old, using getting UBI from our platform. So one of the ways we see to reach 1 billion people, that is almost how many people live in extreme poverty. That's how we are doing, just giving a small amount of money. In this case, this is a Celo dollar, so it's a stable coin, and to people that actually needs it. And what blockchain should be addressing is the people that are out of finance in the most difficult places in the world. So the most vulnerable communities, like in Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Philippines, Peru. That's all the countries where we are. So this is also a way for that, because that people will use that money because they actually need it, and will spread because that's the only money they will get. So that's our strategy to do that. And it's mobile friendly, even without internet.
Gotcha.
Even it works.
Go ahead.
Well, that's actually a good point. Like utility and reaching 1 billion. I don't think we're gonna be get 1 billion people using our technology by pushing more for educations. More education will just push people to build more tools. But what we need is people to build tools that others that are not builder are gonna be using. This is really the big difference. Is as mentioned, like you said, China is blocking people from using crypto. I think it's just because it's politics. They have their own agenda. They are going to release their Chinese stablecoin, like digital currency, and what they want is like the maximum of people use it. And I'm sure they're gonna be building and releasing DeFi products on top of it, and maybe like try to conquer the world or whatever. But yeah, it's not. Education is good for us and bringing more people to build more tools, but this is not how we're gonna reach 1 billion. Except if we find 1 billion builders, but there's no 1 billion developers in this world. You have more people that are using and consume content and information rather than actually build them. We need like a small amount, not a small amount, but reasonable amount of builders, but people that build stuff that others that are not builders are gonna be using. Right now, we build tools in blockchain that are just for us, like API, like farming and lending and borrowing, like leveraging and all these different things. It's cool. We like it. It's like being in the 80s and 90s with beginning of internet. But when internet took off, people were not like, we need more people to build internet for them to use. The only reason why they used it because there was a need of using internet. And I think it's exactly the same. We build stuff that people want to use and they have a need of using it, then we'll make it.
So it's interesting that you mentioned the stablecoin issue. It brings me to the second point. So to the second point we could tackle to grow crypto to wider adoption is the fact that first everything is denominated in USD today in crypto, like in terms of stablecoin, and cryptocurrencies are still so volatile. And so if you want everyone to interact, people who are more risk averse than we all are here, you need to have a reliable way to do stablecoins for them. And or you need to give them access to assets which are not going to be so volatile. So there are two ways to do this. Either you rely on centralized solutions, and let's not forget that we're talking about DeFi here, so decentralized finance. It's easy to scale a solution to 1 billion users. I mean, not easy, but if you're centralized, so if you're building a centralized blockchain, if you're relying on centralized stablecoins. But scaling DeFi, I'm talking in terms of stablecoins, but also in terms of protocols, in terms of blockchain, which will be able to scale to work with this amount of people, which will have the bandwidth. Then you still need people to innovate in terms of protocol. So I'm not going to sell my brand here, but that's what we are trying to do at Angle. So bring the money Lego to scale DeFi to 1 billion users.
Actually, thank you for that, alley-oop, Pablo, because that was literally the next question. What is your company actively doing, panelists, to make this happen? So you're the questions, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so, well, as probably most of you here know, Polygon is one of the scaling solutions for the Ethereum ecosystem. So what I would say that Polygon is focusing heavily right now is to bring more people, especially that are priced out from the mainnet because of the fees that are there. Just if you try to, whatever, like mint some DAI via making like CDP on Maker, depositing that in Curve, moving that in StakeDAO, Yearn, or wherever, like you'll get like tons of fees. So like that's just like one of the sides that you're seeing, and Polygon is just one of the solutions, as you know, in the whole ecosystem. There are like others, and there are like, of course, debates between the challenges for each of the chains, like what's good, what's bad, what's better, etc., consensus mechanisms, whatnot. But I think that these are like some of the important things because you will not get somebody with $100 to get into the whole DeFi ecosystem via going to the mainnet right now. And DeFi is just like one of the pieces here. As we see more, we have like this financial NFTs that are like growing as like a really interesting type of products. You have the NFT world, you have gaming world, all of these things. And I think that if we are talking about any kind of like meaningful mass adoption, any kind of more activity in general, we need to pay attention to the fees, and I'll go to that. So I would say that Polygon is actively working on this. There is like also Polygon Studio that is working on the gaming side, and just like trying to bring a different type of users, different type of builders in the whole ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, and that SimpleFi basically, as the name might suggest, we're just trying to simplify DeFi. Because if you're a degen or an ape, you probably like saw some like 1000% APYs, right? And then you go in and take whatever shitcoin you need to put in there, and then a week later you look at it and you've not made 100,000% or whatever it is, but you've actually lost 90% of your money because permanent loss, because of any of this like DeFi jargon, right? And people get wrecked. And then exactly, see that I'm placing it for you, right? But so what we're doing is like literally like a general portal for DeFi. We just plug in your address and you can see whether you've made any money or not. So if you've been aping in, like providing liquidity into a liquidity pool and then staking that in a farm, it'll actually rewind all that data and tell you if you're net positive. So what Etienne was saying, it's like, how you doing? How you actually doing? Because I don't know if anybody's tried to keep track of how much money they're actually making when they're playing in DeFi, but it's hours spent in front of spreadsheets or different types of tools. So that's the first step. Actually, that's what we're going to release in 2 days' time. Sorry. So for people who are on the video, maybe because there's a QR code, you can join the wait list on our Discord. Really simple, and then you can start seeing if you're actually making any money. But actually, the broader aim for SimpleFi is just to make it super easy. So we're starting with the ROI calculator. But the idea is that you can just go there, see what's performing, what's not performing, see the other possibilities, the other opportunities for you to invest in, maybe with the same assets, same risk classes. You know, I don't want to take too much risk. I want my stable coins. Instead of going into all the Discord servers, they're all listed there, and you can immediately sort of beam into whatever opportunity you have. So it's a journey. We need all of you to tell us, you know, how it works. But that's the main thing, and that's what we think is going to help people get into DeFi, as you said, guys. Just making it easy, making it understandable, and not necessarily understanding how the algorithmic stablecoin works or the strategy.
And that was a good point what you said, and I was a little bit surprised because we said we're talking about how we onboard the next billion, but we actually didn't mention the NFTs. And NFTs are probably one of the biggest tool that will onboard millions and billions of people, like Twitter, Facebook, and probably like maybe a new social network like Facebook 2.0 apparently coming today. We're all excited, yeah. And so what we're doing in the StakeDAO, and also there's another industry. There's many industry like gaming and so like if you want to onboard, like also porn is pretty big. Like it's pretty huge. In StakeDAO we do like the way that we onboard like people, and we try to make it easy. It's just by abstracting all the complexity, as you said. So you go to the platform, you don't need a MetaMask, you don't need a wallet, you log with your email, and then we try to make all the complicated strategy. We don't have many strategies, but we try to provide the best API and to make them super easy. All the stuff that you see on the platform is very well explained in multiple different languages. And from options, futures, like strategies, trading, and also the concept of NFTs, we try to make it like very basic and provide the best UI, mobile friendly, and then on the front end, and just like that's it. You click is where you know how to interact with the platform, because I think there was no except centralized exchanges. They really made it like UX and UI, Binance and all the platform. They added. They really spent millions of US dollars into the UX and UI and mobile and desktop for users to use those platforms. And you like it or not, they are the best. And I think in DeFi, what we're liking in non-custodial solution and trustless solutions, this is the easiness of centralized products. Because if you use Twitter, if you use Facebook, all those different products, you like them or not, they are super easy to use. And we need to do the same. And I think we're getting there, like with protocol like Polygon and other solutions, where first you don't need to understand what's gas, you don't need to understand if there's a crypto attached to it, you don't need to understand like just the abstraction of the concept of blockchain and cryptonomics and crypto. This is how we try to make it inside the platform. First, you get into Euro, soon Angle Euro, and then that's it. Invest in those different products without knowing that you actually got into crypto. I think that will be the next paradigm. Next, like the think outside the box. Will be like, wow, I'm actually using those products, but I don't know they're actually powered by blockchain, and there's a crypto attached to it.
Yeah, I think the UI and UX part is super important. I also think that's one of the reasons of the success for Uniswap, which has for me the best UI. I'm not talking about UX because I think Curve has a great UX.
Soft shell.
But yes, definitely improving UI will help scale crypto. So about Angle, we are building a Euro stablecoin, but that's not the only thing we're doing. The idea is that we really want to make DeFi more inclusive, and the vision is really to scale DeFi, to build the tools to scale DeFi to 1 billion users. So you cannot scale to 1 billion users with just a Euro stablecoin. You need a Swiss franc stablecoin, you need a Korean one stablecoin, you need a Japanese yen stablecoin, you need a stablecoin that is free of inflation for people who don't want to lose money every year because states print money. And so we have built a protocol that's generalizable, and that's also capital efficient, because if you want to have a protocol that supports trillions of dollars, then you cannot do it if you need to be super over collateralized. I'm talking about 150% over collateralized, like Maker for the least. So we built a protocol that is over collateralized, but to get stablecoins, you only need one of collateral. One of collateral gives you one of stablecoin. One of stablecoin gives you one of collateral. And to make that work, to remain robust to bank runs, so we did a ton of research and we built. I'm not going to go into all the details, but we built a system that puts together some agents that you find in DeFi. So if you want to get leverage with Angle, it's cheaper to use Angle. If you want to do yield farming with Angle, in DeFi, go to Stake or go to Angle, and we have a multiplier effect we can propose. That's for the stablecoin part. Other remarks I have for scaling DeFi to the next billion users is the fact that when you are a DeFi protocol, when you are a DeFi company, it's super hard to build in decent conditions. So I guess we'll touch on the regulatory aspect later in the panel. But one point I want to make is it's super hard to have a bank account to pay your employees. And there are some great initiatives. So I see that Nestor from Signum is in the room. And they are a bank that are super comprehensive with crypto companies. And they are the kind of people you need if you want people to build tools in DeFi. Because they are the ones, you need some centralized agents, some agents from the real world who can understand what you're doing. And we couldn't do what we're doing without them. So thanks, Nestor, and thanks, Signum. And also some other great initiative, I think, about the abstraction and facilitating the UI and UX is other blockchains, other protocols. I'm thinking about Near, for instance. They have found a way to completely abstract the wallet part. So to log in your wallet on Near, you just need to have a login and a password. It's as easy as connecting to Facebook. And it's this kind of small initiatives that will get to where we want to be.
Oh, thank you. One thing I noticed in your speech, Pablo, is you said the real world. That's pretty interesting, right? I feel like we're in this simulation indeed, right? It's a simulation, right? It's not real, folks. It's not real. Yeah, second home. Quick question, panelists. Outside of your own project, have you seen any other initiative? I know you mentioned Near Protocol, for instance, Pablo. Any other initiatives, early stage, late stage, whatever, that is actually onboarding, that has the potential to onboard the next billion users?
Yeah. Well, for me, they're like really like two protocols or products that I really like are pulled together in Good Ghosting. And I think that because they kind of like go out of this all of the yield things that we're talking about, like they're using the yields and they're using like all of the DeFi space, but it's kind of like interesting, like for people that don't know, pulled together is no loss lottery, which basically you're buying the tickets and that goes to yields, people distribute the rewards, whatnot. So literally imagine lottery where you cannot lose. And I think, well, yeah, but like you're not losing your premium. So that's like the part that I really like. That kind of like, I think that these kind of things that are not putting people that much in risk to play kind of like with the crypto space is really cool. And the other one is Good Ghosting. The Good Ghosting team is basically trying to gamify saving. And the way how they do it is they deposit on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. You can deposit like a certain amount of dollars that they choose for the game. So let's say like $20 on a monthly basis. People deposit. If you skip to deposit for the next month when you should, you're not in the game, meaning like you will not get like whatever is the yield out of all of the people that are playing the game, but your money is getting back. So I really like, because like I know that the other panelists like kind of like talk about like more robust systems, or at least I believe. That's why I think that like I just wanted to give like a small emphasis on projects that are not maybe directly like decentralized finance, AMMs, DEXs, leverage products and whatnot, and like not covering the NFT and gaming side here. So that's my remark.
And for me, briefly, I mean, there are some projects that I think make life easier, like Argent, for example, or any wallet that's helping you stake directly, that abstracts away the logins, the MetaMasks, and all of this stuff. So there are always like trade-offs, but I think that is what is going to help us just get there to the next level. And we'd love to plug into all of those kinds of tools, because then once you've staked or once you've provided liquidity, then you track your ROI and easily go into whatever pool might be a better opportunity at this point in time. And to the point, I don't know if the name was earlier, but on the education side, I do think that it's still important to have some 101s, and I like what Defiant is doing at the moment, like just a lot of breakdowns, keeping you up to date with the newest innovations and things like that, which can be a little bit obscure for most people, especially if you don't have the time of crawling all the discords and the.
Talking about education without mentioning Reg, not my friend anymore, man. It's, okay, cool. Well, I think, and projects that are going to right now that talking about DeFi, you mentioned it, Pablo, it's like banking system, traditional banking system, and again, Signum like fencing on this path, but the way we like the world has access to financial products and all that stuff right now is banking, and I think when banks currently they're talking about putting some treasury management or whatever, also in the US they're talking about this into Curve. I mean, I'm sure that you heard like there's a news. They mentioned that I don't remember the news. I can show you. It was like from the Congress or something. There was a paper, a report talking about maybe they should deposit some capital into Curve because the API and the system is so robust. And the fact, it's like they slowly, it's like the first they ignore and then they criticize and then you win. Well, right now, what they're slowly realizing is if they don't use those products, then they're gonna lose money, and also they will basically block access for themselves to potential trillions of market cap. Banking industry has a huge opportunity to provide financial access to DeFi, and this is how we're gonna get like I don't know, millions of people into it. And I think for me, it's not really a project, but it's more like how the vision, how the space is moving into. So first, obviously, who saw Wrecked Opium Diaries, Dystopian Dreams, the video? Still, like a lot of people are not gonna make it here. Yeah, I mean, how can you stay you're in DeFi without having seen this video? It's impossible, no? Do you think no?
That's
Yes.
unacceptable, folks.
Exactly.
It's unacceptable. We're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We should have a badge for people that didn't see this video.
Yeah, exactly. Right? NFT them.
Exactly, yeah. But so lobbying, it's huge. Like accumulation of all those DeFi tokens because lobby is bigger than having money. So then you can you can basically leverage different products and interact with different systems, and then redirect the inflation of certain protocol, redirect the amount of money. So lobbying is huge. And I think the next thing we're gonna get into is like layer 3 bridges. How those different, because that will not be just Polygon, not just Ethereum. Capitalism is built in such a way that people want to make a lot of money. So they will build competitors, they will build like different chains. And what's happening is like now we have like bridges that are going to talk to each other. And what I want to see is you ask which project is going to make it. I think it's like project that are built cross layer. And we have like project building on that, like Connex and all those different products. I really want to see something that works on the top, like crossing, arbitrage, liquidate. Imagine if we can liquidate cross layers. It's beautiful. And then yeah, that's it.
So I've already mentioned some projects I really like. One thing, so you mentioned the NFT projects like games, and I think that's the key path to 1 billion users. Sorare, for instance, the soccer NFT platform, they brought so many people to NFTs, to DeFi, just because they are a game. It's so easy, and you don't see the difference between like a real game and the fact that people say sometimes that it's not a real blockchain project because everything happens on the servers. You can still withdraw your NFTs on blockchains, on Ethereum or on Stackware when it's live. But it's with this kind of project that we'll get to 1 billion users.
All right. Quick question for the crowd.
Just can I add one thing?
Go ahead, Nima.
Yeah. So you just inspired me on one thing that I remember. So if those of you who don't know, there is one of the games that are right now also like living on Polygon.
Of course.
Comet. Yeah, of course. No, like it was just because like of the game. So like Comet is a really interesting like you would say sci-fi game, and I think that founder is here actually. Is he still here?
Yeah, Jerome is
He
here.
ran away.
I saw him.
Okay. One of the interesting things is that they had a couple of meetups in France. And like what was really interesting to see is a lot of people that come there are like totally outside of the crypto. They're like into that game. They're like playing the game. And I believe that these type of games that will emerge and like attack a certain niches that are outside of crypto and draw these people in will be the key points, or let's call it a key selling points to the interesting geeks again, maybe, but like interesting people outside of the crypto systems that we already have. So yeah, that's like one big plus.
You don't want to mention it, but obviously Blackpool. I mean, because you mentioned Comets. I think we're the biggest player on Comets. You mentioned Server. I think we're the biggest player on Server. And we're not bad on Axie. So what we do is like trying to get into all those NFTs platform, because we believe that the gaming industry, the real estate industry, and all different things like fashion, potentially later on bonds and like financial, like traditional finance jumping into the NFT world. But that's what we do. It's like providing capital to millions of users in a world that can then play those games. And I think we've been talking about like how we grow to the next million users, but without mentioning Axie. And Axie did something incredible. Like even a stable coin could dream about what Axie did. They basically released a token that now is considered as money and actually worth more money than the national currency. And now people want to use it and pay. In Blackpool, I don't know, like how many scorers we have in Blackpool? Like, yeah, 600 playing on Axie. And now we have people that are driving trucks and TikTok. Like, is that TikTok? TikTok, yeah. Like with the Blackpool logo, and we have like people providing free medicines, free food. Like they go on the field and they grow like seeds and like, all these things. Like basically, we're providing people access to this gaming industry using NFTs, and then it's empowering the entire country. And now it's like worldwide. I think they're making more than 100 million US dollars a month. No, who makes this in traditional finance? Net profit. How many people in Axie team? 5 guys, 10 guys. I mean, this is like incredible. And I think yeah, the NFT industry, the gaming industry is huge, and we're trying in Blackpool to capture a lot of those value in providing back. We have like educations. We have a podcast called. You didn't mention it. You said Define or you said Defiant? I think you said Define. Define. That's us. And
Guys, question from the audience. You guys heard of Transact?
Yeah, let's assume, guys, gaming is gonna, bring billion users to, the blockchain space. How do you turn these users, like they're just gamers, they come into this game, maybe with a custodial wallet. How do you draw these users from gaming to DeFi and make sure it's not becoming like standalone? I think that's a concern that maybe we don't have right now, but how do you bring these people into DeFi? Is it through like high-level partnerships? Maybe have something like I don't know, Anchor Protocol or Aave that as an API and it's integrated into a wallet, or how do you envision that transition?
I don't think that there is like one answer. I think it's a mix of things. Like for sure, like you have like a lot of these things. So like first of all is all the rewards that these users in games are getting are some type of tokens that they can either use to buy something in game, or they can use and cash out, and they will again use on ramp or off ramp solutions such as like Transact on ramp or whatever. So I think that you will have like a mix of all of these different things. Like you will have the game economies that are now kind of like expanded. They already existed before. It just like now they're expanded with the power of the blockchain and the token economies that we are building. And then you have all of these different kind of like hoops that you can do. Like you can maybe like in the future, I can expect that we'll see from game to game some type of items that you can reuse. There'll be like all of these things. That's at least my opinion.
It's you're starting to see projects that are using NFTs for collateral loans and things like that. So I think that's the great power of the space that we're building in and building right now, is that everything is composable. And I think that's how it goes to your point about cross-chain NFT, DeFi. If you know that you're playing on Axie, but you have the opportunity to take a loan against that and fund something else, then I think that's the economy starts merging.
That's good. You mentioned like Transact and all this on and off ramp systems. It gets back to the point, like financial, like banking system. I think like imagine if, and I think that this is what they're actually currently working on. Swift, Visa, Mastercard. The next day they accept any token to be spent on an ATM or like cash out or like pay for bar. That's it. Game over. Because the problem of on-ramp and like stable coins is good, like Angle Euro, like all the stable coin coming. But the problem is like how do you spend in real life and how do you pay for something? Now you onboard people. On StakeDAO we have, or Blackpool, we have ramp network. It's fantastic. It's nice. But the problem is like if you pay 2.5% fees because you have to pay those guys behind the scene, like the Swift boys and Visa, Mastercard, then you're losing immediately. Imagine if you provide like, because like those high APY, they will change soon. They will be like 5 or 2%, 3% APY. You cannot just like onboard people asking them to come, and then they pay 2.5% just for boarding, and then when they have been on the platform generating some money, they want to leave. Boom, another 2.5%. It's like 5%. I think like the key is like banking, and then when Swift, Visa, Mastercard, they start integrating crypto, or we play against them, and then we build our own network where merchants accept our own card and they're directly connected. Because there's no point of using Swift and this like old school protocol that is being run by 6 or 8 dinosaurs. Well, if we actually build and people start accepting by like a Stripe application or like Twitter application or something, they have a terminal and we just like tap, scan the QR code, that's it. No need to do off on ramp, it's already there. What would you need to do on and off ramp for a system that is actually dying? Just stay on a system and everyone is actually moving to our system. And those guys, they will try to come to a house. That's it.
So yeah, one point about that, it's about CBDCs. I think they are going to play a key role in what you're saying, because CBDC, it's like central bank digital currency. It's like stable coins you own, and you don't need a bank account to control these stable coins. So it's like reinventing the Swift protocol. It's like getting rid of Visa and all these things. And so that's why I don't think CBDCs are going to play a key role in the future, because it's so huge. The potential of it is so huge that it's going to threaten the entire financial and economic system. And the role of central banks is to maintain the stability of currencies, to maintain the stability of the economy. But if you build a system where people do no longer need their banks to control their money, if you need a system where people do no longer need Visa or MasterCard, then you're killing thousands, like huge companies. And yeah, the whole system can get lost. So CBDCs could be the way, but because it could be so powerful, I don't think it's going to be in the end as big as what we're saying.
I think blow it up. Question for the audience. 3 seconds to think about it. We're going to have a poll. I am pro NFTs or undecided or third group. Fully on board. I'm already a full-blown expert art collector. Right? I'm on OpenSea every morning. Right? So 3 seconds. I want to hear your opinion in a few seconds. First, this sounds similar, right? 1, NFTs, complete nonsense. Complete nonsense, stay away. Of course, right? Sound like a banker, right? Second, undecided. I need more evidence. Gonna wait, right? Or third, full-blown art collector. A lot. Yes, no, or maybe. For folks that fade health school, yes, no, or maybe. Show of hands. I'm a full-blown art collector. NFT, yes. Okay. I'm undecided. Come on, guys, spend the money. Last group, it's complete nonsense. Not gonna make it. Okay. Right. Question for the panel. Real quick. Bullet point answers. Is there anything you think that could derail or delay the mainstream adoption of crypto, DeFi, NFTs, whatever?
So maybe I can start on this one. Regulation for sure. Bullet points. In DeFi, you have no KYC, no AML. People can accuse you of money laundering, and you couldn't scale to a world where you have no KYC and AMLs. And if you want to comply with regulation, you need to find a way to do this. And so the path to more transparency, I mean, everything is fully transparent, but more transparency for someone that doesn't know what an address is going to be crucial for DeFi adoption.
I think there is no one that can stop this wave. It's happening. There is no other choice, except if we find a mathematical issue in the elliptic curve or something like encryption, then we might actually all be fucked. But except that, I don't think there's anything that can be stopped. That's happening. Regulation will have to join. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
I think for me, like slightly different answer, but the lack of standardization, I think, can delay DeFi adoption a little bit. I mean, we spend half our time at SimpleFi trying to standardize and streamline how we get data from farms and rewind everything. You know, so what we'd love to see is like ERC20 type standards for DeFi with the functions that are in there that just make it easier for people to pass all that information. And the sooner we get there, the easier it's going to be for everybody to integrate and blow this thing.
World ends. That's it. That's the only thing that.
It's similar, right? We get hit by a giant meteor and it's over.
Yeah, if
Okay.
something like that happens, sure. Like then
Yeah.
we'll have like a bigger problem. but
Some
yeah,
black
that's what
swan. Take your ledger with you, mate. Whatever happens. I know you guys been dying for this. Questions from the audience. We'll let the microphone pass around. Keep it short and snappy so anyone could get their questions in. All right. Who wants to go first? Questions from the audience. 1 second, sir.
So the grandma, she has like this major ability that a lot of people lost, right? She knows, she still knows how to take care of her shit. So many people, so she has a big advantage, right? And a lot of people lost the ability to, well, take care of their money, take care of their data, take care of, and just being used to giving it away and knowing someone takes care of it. So I see the biggest danger that, yeah, well, people will not be able to use DeFi. What about that? So I think the project that can tackle that problem and solve it is actually still missing.
Well, yeah, I'll just jump on that quickly. So I'm coming originally from the country Serbia, a country that is like, let's say, third world country of Europe. And one of the things, so one of the things that is a challenge is basically like the education in general. Like what I see is like people lack financial education, just like to know what to do with their money. So I think like in Serbia is not the only example. Like I definitely think that there is like a lot of more countries that have the same problem. So I do think that these type of things, that is education, is something that is dragging along problem. But we can easily say that in everything that exists on this planet, the education is a problem. And we are constantly hitting the wall with the education. So as long as we're not finding a way how to help people out to get educated faster, I think that that will be like something that will be a burden. So yeah, I agree on that side.
Next question. Ian? Alex, we have one here. One sec.
Hi guys. Today you spoke a lot about simplifying the user experience of using DeFi and all this stuff, and MetaMask is kind of difficult to use, etc., etc. But I think that this approach don't you think that this approach has limit, and the limit is very close, because you still need people to understand what they are putting their money into. You still need people to understand what is, I don't know, liquidity pool. You still need people to understand what is staking, and it's really and these concepts are really complex. It's to me it's more complex than using MetaMask. I teached some people of older generations how to use MetaMask, but it's impossible to explain what is automated market maker, and I think this is the main problem. If people don't understand what they're putting their money into, they won't do it.
Honestly, I'm not 100% correct. Convinced that you're right. I'm not 100%, because Robinhood, for example, did it for stock trading. It was like they don't know how Robinhood works behind the scenes. They just know that they're buying stocks. Like at the moment, I'm trying to buy a flat. Right, just moved to Lisbon, and I had a broker explain to me how the variable rates and long-term fixed rates work, and all of these things. And honestly, people, to Julien's point, they understand when they get to the necessity, when they need to understand and start thinking, okay, what is going to benefit me? I mean, nobody knows how HTTPS works. Apart from a few, apart from that guy. Does anybody know how fractionalized banking works, really? Do they know how the banks work? I'm not convinced, and yet they use it all the time. So again, I think if we make it useful enough for people and they can run their lives on it and become sustainable financially and all the rest, they will use it.
Just like quick one. Actually, we don't want them. I mean, like, there's no point of forcing them to use something like. What I'm trying to say is, you feel like blockchain, like only about money. Not only about money. It's not only about finance. Like every day on your daily life, you make money. We also do like a lot of different things. Like you chat on Facebook, you use Twitter, or like all those different things. So my point is like, we're trying to say, okay, you please use MetaMask, because it's very important for you to use MetaMask or whatever. I mean, it's not like 24 hours a day. You're gonna be like, maybe someone has 10 euros or 100 euros to be used and saved somewhere. Or they can use like a very simple application on mobile, and that's it. They forget about it. But the point is not about them, how to make them understand how the technology works, because then we can get more people into it. I don't think this is how we're gonna make it. You don't want them to understand. I mean, it's like, please use internet, because I will explain how, because HTTP is pretty good, and I will tell you how HTTP works. You get someone like your grandma talk to this guy about HTTP. I'm not sure she's gonna be using internet because he actually spent 45 minutes explaining HTTP, No, you make it like super simple. Like you have 100 euros a week or a month that you can use. Then you just leave it there, and then the platform will do everything for you. It's just a saving account. When you go to the bank and you deposit money into the bank is doing a bunch of different things, like give the money to hedge fund or like invest in different market. The bank now, thanks to the US 2009 subprime crisis, now the bank holds a little bit of money and then play on the market. But this money, users don't need to understand how the money works. I mean, there's no point of doing this. They just want to understand the API and then making money. It's a pension funds, exotic packages, debt, bonds. Like 99% of the worldwide population don't understand them, but they actually use them because they use the bank.
I believe that everyone has understand what is the problem of onboarding the next billion. That's probably going to be the customer experience and the customer service. Everyone touched that on the panel. everyone buys insurance, but nobody understands it, but you need it. I mean, you don't need to understand your health insurance or anything like that, but you need it. Unless you're in an economy or in a country that has public services, you've got to make it yourself, make an insurance plan to yourself. But you don't understand, but you buy it.
So
And that's what I think that's our next. I think everyone understood it, but nobody touched it, not from a customer experience point, but the customer service point. I mean, the first services on crypto that actually got exponential was the exchanges, because they understood that they needed customer service. They needed an email 48 hours after I sent my question explaining what my question, by an expert or by someone with 15 years old.
yeah, maybe just one point. I just want to say that I find the comparison with Web 1, with DNS, the complexity of DNS a bit dangerous. Like Web 1 was all about open source protocols like we are now. And to make it understandable to people what happened, Web 2, only centralized platforms like Facebook, Twitter, only centralized projects to make it easy to anyone. And this is one big pitfall for DeFi. We should improve the UI while keeping decentralization. And this is the biggest step to overcome, I think.
We have a question here in the back.
Hey guys, I'm really interested because I think my grandma, she don't want to be her own bank. She probably want to trust someone to manage her assets, not like what we want to do today. And you had about the subject of regulation. I would like to know what you said about regulation have to follow, what we are doing, and basically where you see regulation in 5 years, or what does regulation have to do in order to make that happen? Because I think that's what we need to get to 1 billion, right?
I didn't say like regulation has to follow. I said regulation will follow. The point is regulation is not driving innovation. People drive innovation, and then regulation come after and try to regulate what people built. You will not go to a regulator and say, I want to build the next, I don't know, like SpaceX, like or something. They will, they have no understanding of what you're trying to build, because that's the point. If you're trying to build something that they understand, it's probably the wrong things that you're trying to build, So I think it's like, whatever you're trying to build, always try to make sure you don't get wrecked legally. It's very important. But also try to innovate. Like back in the 80s, 90s, when people were building internet, most of those projects, they were not actually legally acceptable. Like people were like, if you use the internet, this is dangerous. Content on the internet is dangerous. We're still using papers and like all those different things. Well, it's the same as today, when Airbnb or Uber or like all those platforms, they tried and create the startup. All the regulation tried to stop it for 20, 15 years, like 10 years. Every country tried to stop them. They call it like sharing economy, but they didn't want this to happen because there was a big lobby, like the hotel industry, the taxi industry, and they won on fight with regulators and lawyers because they were doing something that is too innovative for the country. The country was not prepared enough. And what we're currently doing is exactly the same. Like, I'm sure Angle is having some good lawyers talking to regulators, trying to not get wrecked. But this is what we all trying to do. When we provide on StakeDAO or Blackpool some NFTs, like you can take a look to the picture or Tamil. They're very good NFTs. I love them. The elephant is very cool. And when you do that, then it might be, you don't know what's happened. Like for example, FTX blocked people from using NFTs that are providing utility. Dangerous, all the different questions. But if you don't go there, you will never face the question: is it legal or not?
So just a really quick one, because also in defense of grandma, right? Because it's a bit of a meme. Grandma's not dumb. Yeah, maybe your grandma. Sorry. No. But no. Grandma is. We don't know what grandma wants actually, and there have been periods in our history in the West, right? I can't talk about other cultures or other places, but where grandma has actually stuffed money under the mattress because she didn't trust the banks. And we forget that because of where we live, but maybe she does want to be her own bank. Mrs. Watanabe in Japan, you know, she was the Japanese housewives were ruling the FX markets a couple of decades ago. They're grandmas now. You know, maybe they know what they're doing as well. So I just think it's hard to preempt what people actually want or need.
Hey guys, I'm the HTTPS guy. So
Welcome.
I'm above that. So one issue that wasn't brought with the adoption for the next 1 billion users is in the area of stablecoins. And in that regard, we are talking about the trust that is given into a stablecoin. I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago, when Tether got a lawsuit, on that day, the stablecoin went 30% down. And this kind of trust you can't explain to a regular user. You can't explain to them, hey, you have 100 USDT, but those might not be worth anything. So the entire industry is based on that stablecoin, but if it's not backed by real assets or trust, it wouldn't be easy to bring a lot of users.
That's why you have Angle. You have a decentralized stablecoin protocol. You can track everything that's in the protocol. So I understand your point, and I understand that you want your stablecoins to be backed. For centralized stablecoin, even USDC, they have invested in money markets. If in 2009 you had your money in money markets, you would have just lost your money. So USDC is still risky. They are not fully transparent. Decentralized protocols try to address this transparency issue. The counterpart of that is that you need to be backed, if you are a backed stablecoins, by crypto assets that are volatile. And what all stablecoin protocols try to do, they try to find a way to absorb the volatility risk of the collateral. That's what we're trying to do at Angle, and that's what DAI is trying to do, and that's what makes it difficult. Stablecoins are risky. There's still a lot of ongoing research about that. I think with Angle, we come with a solution to that, but there are maybe other better protocols to be found.
But how can you explain to a regular person that their funds are safe? How can you, in simple words, if you say them, it's very complicated, you don't need to understand, but you are safe.
And don't verify, trust. And that's a good question, man. Like the USD, the dollar.
One more.
Yeah, the USD, the dollars, like USDT, USDC, they are in safe like banks somewhere, but we don't know how much is there. But still, even if you knew how much was there, at the speed that the Fed and all this stuff printing cash, I mean, it's still like whatever we're building currently is just backed by the US dollars, and the US dollar is just like printing so much cash that at the end it's like, how do you know that this thing that you have still a lot of still worth something?
Yeah, but at the same time, you say that you have stable coins, you don't have inflation, but you're backed by that.
It's not true. This, yeah.
So
Stable coin is just stable bit for
so
like against US dollars, but US dollars
has inflation. Sure,
yeah.
You will always have inflation. If
Yeah, that's why you take something that is not very stable, you put something that is stable, and you call it stable, and you believe in it.
Okay, and the last question. We know that Ethereum is the most used right now in the DeFi world. And for example, if you want to use it as a payment for a subscription plan, for example, if you want to pay for Netflix or something like that, you end up paying more for the fees that you pay for the subscription itself. So that's a big issue. So if Ethereum fixes their problems, that will be fine. But otherwise, you would end up going to Polygon that has the lowest fees available. But then you end up with the problem of moving assets from one side to the other. For example, Binance doesn't have right now USDT to withdraw to Polygon. So
it's baby steps, you know. Like Ethereum is just like 6, 7 years old. Like what we're building is a complete new system. It's a new paradigm. It's a new, like it's an industrial revolution. So it will take time. The vision is there. Like the reason why gas are expensive on Ethereum, because the protocol is old. It was the first one. So like migrating like 400 billion or half a trillion market cap is not as easy as just copying the code base on ETH, CH or something, the code, and then just making live another protocol. Super easy to start a new protocol copying the code of Ethereum proof of stake that is already there and already being tested. The problem here is like, how do you migrate existing protocol with millions of use case, millions of application plugged in, and now like traditional finance using it? That's the real beauty of it. But obviously this is not perfect because we're building it. That's the beauty of it.
Hello guys, I have a question. So to get Grandma on board on DeFi protocols, to what point do we actually need regulation? Because for them to trust the protocols, because they trust the currency that they use right now, that could be euro or dollar or whatever, they put it in their bank because they trust the bank. They don't verify the bank, because if they would, they probably wouldn't put it there. But to what point do we need governments to come into crypto and regulate everything all over the market for them to actually trust all these protocols or these coins? Because I don't think Grandma would like to get a altcoin and get whatever big APY that she gets, because she knows if it's too big, it's risky. So maybe to what extent do we need regulation actually? Because we love being these anarchists and like anarcho-capitals, but to what point do we actually need them?
Well, this is me personally talking, so I'm not representing any company, project, whatever. I can say from my point, like I was never a 0 or 1 person. Like I think that the answer is always like gray. And I believe that we'll have corners that will be not regulated and can't be regulated. Like tomorrow somebody can spin out a code that is regulated, whatever. Let's say Uni gets regulated, somebody can copy and like just start that. So in my personal opinion, like we will need, like I think that we want to collaborate in general. And I'm a person more that believes that collaboration can make so much more than actually fights. And I believe that how the time is passing by, to go on what Julian said, like we're really young industry. We're just like getting started, like really, really baby steps. And all of these infrastructure or products that are missing, we still have a lot of time, and like we still have like a lot of things to make. And again, like when the innovation happens, like people will try to regulate, there will be back and forth, some things will get regulated, new innovation will come in, and it will constantly happen. So I believe that this is a constant process. Now, which parts will be regulated and which not, I'm not sure. I don't think that we'll have like some kind of like the exit point that will try to get a cake from the government side and whatnot. But yeah, I think that the answer is great. The answer is like we'll have like a lot of different things in the whole system.
I'm in two minds about that. A long time ago, I was a lobbyist. I used to lobby on behalf of companies to get governments to try to shape the regulatory environment about stuff. And then a while ago, I had another company called Alice. Actually, Areti, who's a co-founder, who's carrying on with Alice, is over there, which was all about helping people increase trust in charities, right? Because they're losing it. And the sort of the general trend across the board is people are losing trust in institutions and centralized institutions. And I think the reason why this space is so thriving is because we're building systems that don't need that trust anymore. So yeah, maybe Grandma does need protection against hacks and scams and user mistakes, or your funds get lost and things like that. But in the long-term trend, if you can bake that trust in programmatically, we're probably better off. But I don't know. This is again my personal opinion.
So the question is, when regulation will like regulate basically this space? Yes, should it? But I think there's another question: is can regulation regulate what we're building? Because if we're actually building what we're saying we're building, it's a fully decentralized system, meaning that you might stop someone, but then someone else will just come and then do it himself. Reminds me of the time where people were doing like video, like torrents, like trying to stop the music, the people making CDs of music and downloading movies and all the different things. They were trying hard to stop them, like punishing people, making them in prison, like all of this, like. And what happened is the industry completely like thought outside the box and built Netflix, built Spotify, built all those things. This was the kind of like sharing economy. What I'm always asking myself, they were like, I'm talking to regulators, talking to lawyers all the time, and they're like, because first they're like, oh, this is a scam, this is a fraud, like crypto, nah. And then they start playing with it, and like slowly but surely they get into the mindset, and they're like, man, even if you want to regulate it, it's possible. So what I'm saying is like, I think the society, for the first time of human history, will really have hard time to migrate into this. How can we regulate something that is non-stoppable? Because imagine you say, okay, users on Uniswap, users on any protocol, they have to have IP, they cannot use VPN and all this stuff, they cannot use this application, right? Well, if you just have like, because the protocol cannot be stopped, you cannot stop miners. Well, maybe your phone will become a miner very soon on those different blockchains. And then at some point you have a protocol that runs by himself, that is accessible by everyone and can be used by everyone. How can you regulate something if then after that we build the identity layer where you don't need to tell who you are to use those different products? And I'm like, it sounds like a complete chaos, because if we cannot regulate, because we need regulation in this world, otherwise like it just go like nuts. Well, in this technology that we're building, we're all like, oh, this is beautiful, this is transparent, everyone is making money, and then go to moon, and then all millionaires and all different things. But at the same time, it's right. Central, like governments, worldwide countries are scared, and we're laughing at them. But they're right to be scared, because what we're actually building is fucking scary. And if we cannot stop the thing that we're building, cannot be stopped, then that will be like a complete, like for example, lobbying countries. Imagine like, for example, like countries like North Korea or Iran. We're stopping them to build nuclear weapons. And the reason we do that is blocking them to access capital, to access the, so they cannot like access capital, they cannot continue, and they have block from gasoline, so then the entire industry is stopped. That's the way we can control it. But with blockchain, they can access to unlimited amount of capital. They can just continue their research, pay in crypto. So what we're building is scary. It will change the world. It's an industrial revolution, but it will go into something that we never encountered before. And that's, I think, because before we are like second revolution, still the same. It's just like go faster. Sharing economy, still the same. It just go faster. And now it's like decentralization. We never thought about it before. It's like AI, but different, and still as scary as machine learning or AI.
We have two last questions.
Thanks, guys. So I'm from Signum, and thanks very much for the shout out before. And the reason I mentioned that actually is because we're in that space. So we're sort of straddling the traditional finance and the DeFi space. And to the point that you were making, it's really new, right? So we haven't seen the sort of like hundreds of years that we've had in traditional banking. And all the perception in this space is of fear from the outside world. I mean, arguably everybody in this room is a little bit in a silo that really appreciates crypto and sees the potential of DeFi. But outside of this room and outside of like the crypto community, it's still a really scary space. And the stuff that gets written about is like the poly hack that got headlines for days, but you don't really see, oh yeah, this guy is getting a 20% APY over, on a nice steady basis on his XYZ stake. And this is, I think, kind of where the problem comes. How do you kind of break into the traditional traditional world with the kind of nice, happy, good news, and not just the big, scary, the poly hacks of the world?
I mean, I think the reason why you only hear the bad things coming from DeFi in traditional finance because the lobby, because of this guy we used to do before. Like they push news to people telling them this is dangerous, you're gonna lose money, don't get into blockchain, don't get into crypto. Like all the things that you've been hearing in DeFi that are true. Like people are just there to make money. It's like a casino world. But the reason for that, they don't want people to leave, because then they close the ATM. They close like all those jobs. This is already happening. That's the reason why you always hear the bad things in traditional finance. I mean, newspaper, TV, those TV channel, those newspapers, they don't run by themselves. There's only one news in the world that run by themselves. It's Rect. They don't get paid to write articles. But my point is like those TV things and papers, they have owners behind them. Yeah. But the thing is like that's the thing. If it's an industrial revolution, it's a third one or something, those guys will have to come to us and not us come to them. And that's the point, like, because they will quickly realize that if they don't use blockchain, if they don't come to us, use our products, they're making less money. They have a smaller market cap of users, and this is already happening. You know, like Facebook, Twitter, all the biggest company in the world are now jumping. Like JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley, all those things. Like Bitcoin is a scam. Like. And then 10 years later, oh, we create our own GP coin. You know, like please buy it. And that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to slowly, like, to slow this adoption while they invest a lot of money in this adoption. Like, what's like Circle was Barclays. You know, like they were like Barclays, crypto is bad, blockchain is bad. I was in London. I was like with them, like no. And the guy was saying, what we're doing is like telling people to not use this industry, but we're buying all the products, all the startups. They bought Circle, turning into like $1 billion company. And that's what's happening. They tell people not use it because at the same time, they have time to invest in those different projects.
Lastly, on that point, if I might add, I debate often with one of the advisors to the Dutch government on regulation. And in a rare moment of clarity, she told me, we're trying to regulate cars with our understanding of horses, right? Which basically means innovation is impossible to regulate. The geeks will always win, right? So take that to heart. It's impossible to regulate something that's already outside of your understanding, right? So keep building, keep funding, and I'll see you guys at the bar. Thank you so much, guys.